Yep. Alright everyone, and welcome to week 8 of the Super Smash Bros. Esports for Fort Osage High School. Unfortunately, our varsity games today were a bit delayed on account of not many of our team members' opponents joining. However, we finally gotten that sorted out. We do have a match for you. We have Kerbo versus Orb of Darkness. This is the first match of the final week of varsity, and as you see, both players playing very well. Orb going Byleth just after finally gets opened after a massive amount of momentum in their favor, taking the first stock very, very quickly. Just non-stop offense. Byleth is a long-range character who can pretty solidly outspace Captain Falcon, who is going to rely on the more melee. And Captain Falcon almost gets spiked off stage. Spike removes the opponent downwards. Byleth's down air is actually the most powerful spike in the game. However, Kerbo is a low enough percent to where he is going to be able to survive that. Orb of Darkness, though, has a very clean lead, gets launched off stage. Kerbo's going to go for an edge guard. The second hit of Mayor Whip, however, that back air is going to send it off. Kerbo taking the first stock, 42%, now 53.6% deficit. Gonna have to claw his way back. If there's one thing that Captain Falcon does have over Byleth in this matchup, it's going to be speed. Byleth is not a very fast character. However, you can see here Orb making great use of the range to sort of mitigate that weakness of it, because no point in being slow to the opponent if the opponent never gets to hit you in the first place. Orb's currently on ledge, gets hit with a weak hit of knee. That is Captain Falcon's forward air. It's an extremely powerful move in the sweet spot, but very, very weak everywhere else. That being said, it still has some application. Versus the arrow, trying to go for it. Kerbo goes for edge guard, gets knocked off himself, and that's going to be a kill confirm. Orb going the down tilt into the up air, very good for Byleth. Huge hitbox on that up air. It's a great juggling tool. It kind of plays to one of Captain Falcon's main disadvantages, which is his inability to land. He can have a pretty hard time landing against characters who are just running hitboxes like Byleth. Orb gets hit. There's the aforementioned sweet spot knee, nicknamed the Knee of Justice by the fan base. It should be pretty obvious to see why. That move is incredibly strong, and he does have a few ways to combo into it. I don't know if we'll see any of this first game. The Orb gets launched off stage, catches him with the Falcon dive up special as a command grab, meaning that it does go through shields. Oh, the first of the up smash does hit there, but the second hit's going to whiff. Pretty unsafe on shield. Orb fails to find a massive punish. However, does get a forward air, knocks Kerbo off stage, just barely wins the forward smash. Kerbo gets Orb off stage. Byleth's recovery is pretty good. Despite kind of Falcon's edge guarding, Kerbo just barely makes it back from nearly a sting. Falcon kicks through the attempted side smash from Orb. Orb's now back on stage. Both players trying to find a hit, and Kerbo air dodges. Orb, with the buffered air dodge, will defeat Kerbo in the first game, taking into game 2. That was a rather unfortunate ending. Buffer air dodge, for those of you who don't know, in this game there are around 6 to 7 frames of buffer, where if you do an input on the controller that many frames ahead of like when you would normally be able to do it, the game will still read it and do it first frame. It's very common to accidentally press the shield button when you think you would be like on ledge, because that is the button that you use to do a ledge roll, which is a defensive option that gets you back onto stage with a lot of invincibility and gives you some space. It's very common for people to think they would grab the ledge, buffer that, but accidentally not grab the ledge and get an air dodge, and air dodges in this game do have a lot of lag, so that's going to result in the death. Aside from that, though, both players play that game very, very well going into game 2. Orb of Darkness had an amazing first stock, however, they kind of struggled starting stock 2, stock 3. Kerbo nearly clawed his way back before the aforementioned SD. Going into game 2, Kerbo's going to be switching, counterpicking to Incineroar. This is going to be a very, very scary character. The definition of robbery. This character deals a ton of damage and can boost his damage even further with that right there. That's Revenge. It is a counter which allows him to absorb a hit of his opponent's, and then it will power up the damage and knockback of his next move that he hits you with. There are some ways to play around it. If he takes enough knockback, it goes away. If you throw him, he goes away. However, it is a very scary tool that basically defines how you have to play against him. You have to be very, very careful. Since your Orb of Darkness has hit him a lot more times than he has hit them. However, that range, once again, being a factor, and even in this matchup, Incineroar does not have good range, similar to Captain Falcon. And unlike Falcon, he doesn't have the speed to make up for it, but he does have the power. Orb takes the first stock. However, he has revenge on deck. Any of these hits could result in death. Catches him shielding. That is the darkest. That is a Alolan Whip. That is Incineroar's command grab. As you see there, it goes through shields. Catch opponents just mindlessly doing it, and it deals a ton of damage. With enough revenge boosts, because you can stack revenge with itself, that move can do almost 70 to 80% by itself. Incineroar has one of the highest damage potentials in this game, and revenge paired with Alolan Whip is a big reason as to why. That being said, it's not just a damage tool. He can also, depending on when he presses the button to do the follow-up, can make it send upwards for vertical kills or not at all for edge guards. However, that only applies if he's actually able to manage to actually hit it Orb of Darkness, doing very well spacing out, playing around the range that the Alolan Whip can be used at, because he does that dash forward, and he's very vulnerable during it. So here, finally gets the Lariat follow-up. That's going to be enough to kill. Take Orb of Darkness's first stock. However, the other massively nearly kills him off the side. Incineroar is a heavy character, however, his recovery can somewhat limit his survivability. Orb of Darkness just carefully spacing him out. Kerbo goes in for the grab, misses it. Down tilt misses. Grab gets caught up by the forward tilt, nearly gets sniped by the arrow, barely manages to make it back to stage. Orb of Darkness having trouble finishing off this stock. This might be what Kerbo needs. In this game, if you are, depending on how high your percent is, your knockback will increase up to 10%. Kerbo's currently at max rage, almost cheeses out that second stock with the stage spike. However, able to avoid it, parries the forward air. Orb just not able to find a way to finish off finally. Takes Kerbo's second stock. Kerbo, unfortunately, was not able to make a very large comeback off of that, only attacking on 34%. Now has a massive deficit. He has to chew through both stocks and a sweet spot forward smash. Very strong kill moves. Incineroar's weight not going to get much help in him here as Orb of Darkness takes the second game 2-0. Once again, we have to apologize for the delays. Not many of our players' opponents are showing up. We're having a bit of trouble getting games. However, here we'll have Kerbo versus Finn the Splatinator, the Kerbo's second match of the day and the second match overall of Week 8. So we'll get back to you. Looks like that's about to begin, actually. Kerbo once again going Captain Falcon. Finn Splatinator going Inkling, very evasive character. Generally considered to be pretty strong. A solid high tier pick. This character has a unique mechanic known as ink, as you can see there. Certain attacks will use up the little gauge you can see in the bottom right character icon, and will put ink on the opponent. That will essentially increase the amount of damage that they take, and by extension, the amount of knockback that they take. It's generally a pure buff, however, some of Inkling's moves are unable to be used unless that ink, as you can see there, is full. It's currently not, so they're going to be at a massive deficit of ink. They need to charge it up there by pressing the special button while in shield. However, Inkling does have a ton of good options. That right there is the roller. That is an infamous move in this game. It will bury the opponent for an extremely long amount of time. One of the longest buries in the entire game, if not the longest. So Kerbo's going to have to play around that just to avoid that as much as possible. It cannot bury you if you're in the air, so Kerbo might start jumping a lot more, or simply use moves like Raptor Boost, which is that side boost that has armor. Kerbo, unfortunately, though, accidentally SDs after air dodging. That one was intentional to attempt to avoid it, just didn't have a double jump. Kerbo's trying to finish off the stock here. Inkling at 176%. This is not a heavyweight character. Inkling is not a character who generally lives this long. And that up air is going to be it. Up air doesn't typically kill with Captain Falcon unless you're at very high percent. It's more of a combo tool. We might be able to see a bit of it here. Kerbo gets a decent opening, isn't able to convert it into anything much. Only 21%. Inkling almost matches that with a jab. Just barely misspaces the down tilt. Finally gets a grab, goes for the forward tilt. Forward throw, trying to get him off stage. Is not able to armor through. The berry goes through the armor. Uses the down air at disadvantage. Hits him with the up air. Isn't able to convert. Tries to convert into the forward air. Doesn't get it. Finn just barely flips the punish. That probably should have been the stock. Or gets launched off stage by the back air. Kerbo playing a lot more around it. Isn't able to find a punch because that move does have a landing hitbox. Able to find the Raptor Boost. Goes for the knee afterwards. Doesn't get it. Clanks with one of one of Inkling's attacks. Avoiding the forward smash. Is able to Falcon kick through. Gets the up air. Sends him at a downwards angle. Goes for the down air. Doesn't get it. Almost SDs once again. However, he's able to get it back. And that back air. Kerbo's at 165%. Rage maxes out at 150% with a 10% knockback increase. He has max rage right here. If there's any place to make a comeback, this would be it. Oh, and he gets caught. That's going to be the stock. If you get caught at roller above 90, it's safe to assume that you've just died. That's what it's like playing against this character. Now, the reason Inkling is so evasive is primarily because of that dash, and it's a similar animation to a ton of their other options and puts them very low to the ground, meaning that they can actually dash under quite a few moves. This here, Kerbo's kind of struggling to find a decent opening. Does it the forward smash, but is mainly having to play with just getting single hits. Able to avoid it. Gets caught by the splat bomb. The roller does leave behind Ink on the ground, and that will slow down movement speed. So he'd do best to try to avoid it if at all possible. Going for an aggressive landing. Finn baits it out with a dash attack. Traps him with the bomb. Is able to shield it. Gets a grab as he tries going for the roller. Gets him off stage. Gets the weak hit at knee. Oh. Grabs shields through the landing hitbox. Gets him off stage once again. Goes for another knee. Gets the up air. Gets the up air again. Finn not able to do anything except just air dodge. However, that's very easily readable. Goes off stage yet again, trying to find something, and the landing hitbox saves him. Oh, the grab is just barely out of range. Both characters are at last stock, last hit. Anything could happen here. Kerbo needs to avoid SDing. It's an opening, but he flubs it. Just barely avoids it. He's going for the knee. He wants to finish it off with the forward air. Oh, and he Falcon kicks through, and that's going to be the first game. No dramatic zoom in. Might have been a bit weird directional influence. You can influence the direction of a move that when it hits you in this game by pressing certain directions on the control stick. So depending on that, it can make moves come a little earlier, so I'm guessing that's what happened there. But even still, Kerbo does take the first game. That was very, very close. Inkling, let's see here, pretty evasive. However, also very good recovery. This character can really travel the distance. Kerbo is one of the few players in MOSEF who consistently goes for edge guards. That's not something you see very often online. So that recovery could be somewhat negated, or at the very least, it's going to be it's good and bad thing, because on one hand it means that he's going to take more advantage of it. It's going to be more of a factor. Because he's trying to edge guard, the good recovery is actually going to mean something. However, it also means that because he has to worry about someone edge guarding him. Generally not ideal. That being said, it's still hard to punish, and here we see the opposite of that. Both players switching. Kurbo once again goes to Incineroar, and Finn the Splatinator going to Ganondorf. This character is slow and he is strong. When I say he is slow, he is incredibly slow. Incineroar has the worst ability in the game, but he does have frame data that works. Ganondorf doesn't get that luxury. Every single one of his attacks is incredibly slow. However, he makes up for it with, in general, range that Incineroar does kind of lack. You can see here, both players are neck and neck. One or two hits from either side could end a stock on either side. Both these players are having a bad recovery. However, Incineroar is generally a bit more versatile than Ganondorf. And he does have that revenge factor. It's like he tried going for it, however, gets caught up in the Fire Smash. Goes for the Warlock Punch. That is one of the worst moves in the game, if not the worst move in the game. It is extremely slow, very, very easy to catch out. Finn would do best to avoid that if at all possible. As you can see here, Ganondorf's recovery, not good. That was not a mistake by Finn. That was the best Ganondorf had to offer. This character cannot get back to stage to save his life. If he loses a double jump, he's not going to be able to make it back, but that's not even going to matter. Almost only a minute, just barely a minute into the game, Turbo takes game 2 with a monstrous 3-stock.
Step into the ring.
Alright, and for this upcoming set, we're going to have a trade for you. This is going to be Swarzy versus Aruka Yakimura, playing under the tag of Johnny. Swarzy, the Photo Stage player, has recently been named the single best player in the region for this MOSEF tournament. So this set may potentially give us insight as to why. Alright, and this is... Oh, something's going on, but it looks like this is going to be between Swerzy's Steve and Aruka's Mii Brawler. Mii Brawler, actually you don't see very often. This character has customizable special moves that you choose before the game. 3 versions for each special. We'll see what setup they appear to be using. First of all, they have Shot Put as the neutral special. However, we may not be able to see the rest of them because Swerzy already breaking out with a pretty good combo at the beginning of the game. Aruka currently off stage, very scary place against Steve's character, has amazing edge guarding. Steve's main mechanic is that he has, as you can see there, the bar near the character icon, resources. He can craft his tools depending on what resources he has. He can place blocks to use resources. Some of his moves use up resources. And it's just generally uses resources for a ton of his moves, which make a bunch of his moves super dynamic. One of the only way to really get resources is through mining, which you can see you're doing a lot of here. Currently has gold on. The deck does not have diamonds. This is going to be what Swerzy is going to be fishing for. Diamonds give Steve a massive damage and knockback boost, which means that this character with diamond tools has some of the best frame data and kill power and combo potential in the game. Here we can see some of that combo potential coming in. This incomplete combo, Swerzy accidentally drops it and still manages to do 60% off of a single opening. If he hadn't dropped that forward, that would have been death. This character has massive reward on a ton of stuff. Looks like Aruka's going for the counters. That move is not typically considered to be very good. Looks like he's using the default Mii Brawler moveset, not using many of Mii Brawler's standout tools here. Usually this character wants to use throw kill confirms in order to secure stocks, and just not going for that. We'll see whether or not he gets punished for that. Goes for the counter, however, Swerzy predicts it, baits it out. Goes for the forward smash as the punish, just barely with the dash attack. Missing with that though, and that is Aruka's second stock. Swerzy at 71%. Just playing a bit more defensively now. Find an opening, gets caught out by the forward smash. However, because he did not have diamonds, he didn't lose any diamond tools, so he still needs to mine for them in order to get like his massive advantage going. That being said, even without diamond tools, Steve is still an incredibly scary character. A single hit can just deal massive damage. See, he can use an up air. One of the best anti-airs in the game. It's a gigantic hitbox and just lasts forever. Aruka's currently on ledge, gets caught by the forward smash. That might be the end of the stock. Steve's edge guarding is incredible, and default Mii Brawler moveset does not have a very good recovery. Swerzy playing with Kali Spada takes the very first game with a 2-stock victory. Now, that was an absolute slaughter. Swerzy, again, the current best player in the region, and it's very evident to see why. He is able to convert essentially all of his stray hits into very, very good combos. And what that means, essentially, is that most people, most characters, when they hit you, that's it. They just, like, get that, maybe, like, a follow-up mix-up. Steve gets guaranteed damage, guaranteed stage position, is probably going to hit you off stage, at which point you're screwed because he has one of the best edgeguard games in the game. He has incredible frame data. You cannot punish him for a ton of the stuff that he tries doing. He deals a ton of damage, partially due to that combo potential and partially due to the bonuses and damage that different tools provide him. And he can sort of force aggressive approaches. Steve is very, very good at punishing the opponent for whiffing moves, and whiffing moves is a necessity against Steve because you're forced to approach him. Because diamond tools are so scary, if he's just sitting on the stage mining, you can't just let him keep doing that. You're kind of forced to approach him. So he can essentially force the opponent to come to him whenever he wants them to, and the ability to set the pace of the game like that and dictate what your opponent's game plan is depending on what it is you're doing is massive, and it's one of the main reasons that Steve is widely considered to be one of, if arguably, the best character in the game. And Swerzy is very good at taking advantage of those skills. His edge guarding is phenomenal. He's incredible at getting it back to stage after those edge guards and in disadvantage. He utilizes and mixes up stage recovery options very well. He's very, very good at picking up on opponents' habits. We can see him intentionally avoiding, didn't get hit by a single counter there despite how much Aruka was using it. Managed to avoid most of Aruka's attempts to secure the stock. Did get caught out by the one forward smash, but aside from that, he played that nearly flawlessly. We could also see him making great use of the what's known as the Steve stall, or not really his technical name, but just the general stalling that Steve's able to do because he can place blocks. Those blocks will have collision across all sides of them, which means that in order to get to Steve, if he places blocks, you have to break them. So what Steve can do is he can place several blocks if he's far away enough from you, use them as a barrier, and start miting. This does the aforementioned thing of getting the opponent to approach you, but it also introduces the blocks, which either forces you to go around them, which can make you very, very easy for Steve to hit, or it forces you to break the blocks, which makes you very, very easy to hit. So Swarzy is incredibly good at just finding ways to get the opponent to approach him and then punishing them for doing that. His playstyle works, his whiff and punish playstyle works very, very well with Steve's game plan. And going into game 2, I'm interested to see if Arca is going to be able to pull this around. 1111 Mii Sword Fighter, which is the colloquial term for the special move layout he's using. All default Miis use 1111. Is not the best Mii Sword Fighter variation. Mii Sword Fighter has several very, very good moves locked behind the other selectable special moves. So using just default Mii Brawler, sorry, I've been saying Sword Fighter on accident, Mii Brawler, that's not going to go well for him. Mii Brawler is a close range character with a ton of kill confirm potential, and using 1111 special moves just completely removes that ability from Mii Brawler's kit. It also prevents a Mii Brawler from being able to recover very consistently, because basically all of 1111 Mii Brawler's moves send him into free fall. He doesn't have any recovery moves that don't send him into free fall, and that is the special animation where he's flashing and isn't able to do anything. Most up specials will send you into that. Hold up a second. It appears a communication error has occurred. We will get right back to you. Alright, this may take a while. It appears that something glitched out on the matchmaking site that is used to keep track of who wins games. Aruka was accidentally, for some reason it glitched and said that Aruka won that match. So we will be on pause for a moment, and we will get back to you once the technical difficulties are sorted out. All right. Unfortunately, that is going to be our last game. None of the other opponents have showed up. We have struggled getting games, and that game is not going to be able to be made up until a few days later. So unfortunately, we're going to have to cut it short, and that is week 8 of Super Smash Bros. Varsity for Photosage Esports. Thank you all for watching, and tomorrow we will get back to you with Junior Varsity.